Adaora loved the good life. She believed that a woman should never struggle when men were willing to spend on her. With her flawless dark skin, captivating eyes, and a smile that could melt the hardest heart, she had Tunde and Chike wrapped around her fingers. They both thought they were the only ones in her life, and she made sure they never suspected a thing. She was sleek, careful, and played her cards right. Tunde, the calm and intelligent one, was always sending her money and making plans for their future. Chike, the adventurous and fun-loving type, took her on expensive trips and bought her designer bags. Adaora felt like a queen, living the best of both worlds. "Ada, I don't understand you," Ngozi said one evening, shaking her head as she watched her friend admire the latest gold wristwatch Chike had just sent her. "You can't continue like this. One day, they will find out." Adaora laughed, tossing her long braids over her shoulder. "Ngozi, relax. Do you know how many men double-date women? I beg, let me enjoy my life." Ngozi sighed. "I just hope you won't regret this someday." Adaora rolled her eyes. "I won't." But fate had other plans, and soon, the web of lies she had spun so carefully would unravel. Adaora was careful, but the weight of her double life was getting heavier. Juggling two relationships required precision, and she had perfected the art of lying. When she was with Tunde, she played the role of a humble, God-fearing woman, discussing plans and pretending to be content with his steady, responsible lifestyle. With Chike, she became the lively, fun-loving woman who adored excitement and luxury. She ensured their paths never crossed. Her schedule was carefully planned, weekdays with Tunde, weekends with Chike. She saved their numbers under fake names, deleted messages, and even had excuses ready in case one of them questioned her whereabouts. One Friday evening, while having dinner with Chike at a high-end restaurant on Victoria Island, her phone buzzed. It was Tunde. "Hello, my love," she answered sweetly, stepping away. "Hey baby, I wanted to surprise you today." "I'm outside your place," Tunde said. Adaora's heart skipped a beat. "Oh, I'm not home. I had to visit my aunt in Ikeja. She's sick." Tunde sighed. "I see. I wanted to spend some time with you." "We'll see tomorrow, darling," she cooed, hanging up quickly. She returned to Chike with a fake smile, but inside, she felt a slight pang of guilt. Ngozi's words rang in her ears, but she shook them off. As long as she was careful, she believed nothing could go wrong. Yet, cracks had started to form, and fate was waiting to strike. Ngozi had seen it all before. She had watched other women play the same dangerous game, only for it to end in tears. Sitting in Adaora's apartment one evening, she decided to try again. "Ada, you know Tunde loves you. And Chike too. But what you're doing isn't fair," Ngozi said, arms folded. Adaora sighed, adjusting her silk robe. "Ngozi, I've told you before, I know what I'm doing. I can handle this." Ngozi shook her head. "You're treading dangerous waters. Men talk. If they ever find out, it won't end well." Adaora laughed. "As if they will ever find out. I'm too smart for that." Meanwhile, Tunde had been growing suspicious. The last-minute cancellations, the sudden unavailability, it didn't sit well with him. One evening, he decided to follow her. When she said she was going to visit her cousin in Lekki, he tailed her taxi, only to watch her step into an expensive hotel, hand in hand with Chike. Tunde's heart sank. His fears had been confirmed. He took out his phone and dialed Emeka. "Omo, I need your help. I just found out something shocking about Adaora." The game was almost up. Tunde and Emeka devised a plan. Instead of confronting Adaora immediately, they decided to expose her in a way she wouldn't expect. A week later, Chike invited Adaora to a house party in Ikoyi. Unbeknownst to her, Tunde and Emeka were also there, hiding among the guests. As she laughed and drank wine, completely at ease, a voice boomed over the speakers. "Adaora, my love, you've been playing a dangerous game." She froze. Tunde stepped forward, anger blazing in his eyes, while Chike looked on in shock. "How could you?" Chike muttered. "You played both of us." Gasps filled the room. BC, the neighborhood gossip, had her phone out, recording everything. Within hours, the video was everywhere. Adaora, the double dating queen, was exposed for the world to see. Her life would never be the same again. Adaora locked herself in her apartment for days. The video of her public humiliation had gone viral, and there was no escaping the shame. Everywhere she turned, she saw the whispers, the judging eyes. People she once considered friends avoided her, and the men who used to shower her with attention now kept their distance. Even on social media, the backlash was relentless. She picked up her phone to call Ngozi, the only person who might still care. After a few rings, Ngozi answered, her tone cautious. "Adaora, what do you want?" Tears welled up in Adora's eyes. "Please, I need someone to talk to. Everyone hates me. I don't know what to do." Ngozi sighed. "I warned you, Adaora. I begged you to stop, but you thought you were untouchable. Now look at you." I know. Adaora sobbed. "Please, I just need a friend right now." There was a long pause before Ngozi finally said, "Fine. Come to my place, but don't expect sympathy." When Adaora arrived, she barely recognized herself in the mirror. The confident, beautiful woman was gone. In her place stood a broken, weary soul. Ngozi took one look at her and shook her head. "So, what's your plan now?" Adaora wiped her tears. "I don't know. I just wish I could start over." "Then leave," Ngozi said bluntly. "Lagos is not for you anymore. The shame will follow you here forever. If you want to escape, go somewhere no one knows your name." Adaora knew she was right. There was nothing left for her in Lagos. With a heavy heart, she packed her bags and left for a neighboring village, hoping to rebuild her life far away from the disgrace she had brought upon herself. As the city lights faded behind her, she realized that the price of deception was higher than she had ever imagined. Adaora arrived in the quiet village of Umuchi, a place vastly different from the fast-paced life of Lagos. The dusty roads, the simple houses, and the friendly yet curious stares from villagers made her feel like an outsider. She rented a small room in the compound of an elderly woman, Mama Ineka, who treated her with kindness. "You look like someone running from something, my daughter," the old woman said one evening, stirring a pot of soup. Adaora forced a smile. "I just needed a fresh start." Mama Ineka nodded knowingly. Fresh starts are good, but only if you've truly left the past behind. Despite the change of environment, Adaora struggled to adjust. Gone were the expensive dinners, the luxury shopping, and the endless attention from men. Now, she had to live within her means, fetching water from the village well and cooking her own meals. She found work at a small shop, selling provisions and earning barely enough to survive. The nights were the hardest. She lay awake, replaying the past in her mind. How had she allowed greed and vanity to ruin her life? She thought of Tunde and Chike, how she had toyed with their hearts, and how she had lost everything in the process. One afternoon, she overheard a conversation at the market. "Did you hear? Tunde is getting married next month." Adora's heart clenched. "To who?" another voice asked. "Ngozi. Can you imagine? They were friends before, but now they are engaged. She felt as though the ground had been pulled from beneath her feet. Ngozi, her only real friend, was now with Tunde, the man who had once loved her so deeply. She staggered away from the market, bile rising in her throat. For the first time, she understood the full weight of her mistakes. She had not only lost the men who adored her but also the only friend who had truly cared. Tears burned her eyes as she walked aimlessly through the village. She had thought leaving Lagos would free her from her past, but even here, it followed her like a shadow. And now, she had to face the harshest reality of all: she was utterly alone. Days turned into weeks, and Adaora found herself sinking deeper into loneliness. The villagers were kind but distant, sensing that she was not one of them. She performed her duties at the provisions shop mechanically, her mind often lost in thoughts of the past. One evening, as she sat outside her small room staring at the star-filled sky, Mama Ineka joined her. "My daughter, you have a heavy heart," the old woman observed. Adaora sighed. "I have lost everything, Mama. My past mistakes haunt me." Mama Ineka stirred the beads around her neck thoughtfully. "The past only haunts those who refuse to learn from it. Have you truly learned? Or are you just mourning your loss?" The question struck Adaora deeply. Had she truly changed, or was she just bitter that she had lost the life she once had? The next morning, she decided to visit the local church. She had ignored faith for so long, believing she could manipulate life to her advantage. But now, she needed something greater than herself. She sat quietly at the back of the church, listening to the choir's solemn hymns, their voices washing over her like a balm. As she exited the church, a young man approached her. "You're new here," he said warmly. "I'm Ifine. I work at the school nearby." Adaora nodded, hesitant. "I'm Adaora. I moved here recently." "Welcome. If you ever need anything, let me know," he said before walking away. It was a simple gesture, but it gave Adaora a small glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she could find redemption in this village. That evening, she picked up a notebook and started writing. She poured her thoughts, regrets, and fears onto the pages, documenting her journey. For the first time, she acknowledged her faults fully, not as a victim, but as the architect of her downfall. But was self-awareness enough? Could she ever rebuild her life and be free from her past? She wasn't sure yet, but for the first time in a long while, she was willing to try. Adaora slowly began integrating herself into village life. Each morning, she rose early, swept the compound, and helped Mama Ineka with small chores. Though the work was simple, it grounded her, reminding her of the value of honest labor. Her interactions with Ifine became more frequent. He often stopped by the shop where she worked, buying small items and engaging her in light conversation. His kindness was unfamiliar but comforting. "You should come to the school one day," he suggested one afternoon. "The children could use someone with your spirit." Adaora chuckled. "My spirit? If you knew me before, you wouldn't say that." Ifine tilted his head. "The past is not who you are. It's who you were. You can choose to be someone new." The words lingered in her mind long after he left. Could she truly start afresh? One evening, while fetching water from the village well, she overheard two women whispering. "She's the one from Lagos, right? The one who played two men?" "Yes. I heard she ran away in shame." Adaora's grip on the bucket tightened. Shame burned through her, but she took a deep breath and walked past them without a word. Running away would solve nothing. She needed to face it. Determined, she went to Ifine the next morning. "I want to help at the school. If you'll have me." A broad smile spread across his face. "Of course. The children will love you. At the school, she found purpose in helping the young ones read and write. Their innocence, their laughter, filled a void within her. Slowly, the villagers' stares softened. The whispers became less frequent. She wasn't just the woman with a scandalous past, she was becoming Adaora, the kind teacher. One day, Mama Ineka took her hand. "My daughter, the weight on your shoulders is lifting." Adaora smiled, truly meaning it. For the first time in years, she felt something unfamiliar yet wonderful, peace. But the past has a way of testing even the strongest resolve. And Adaora was about to learn if she had truly changed, or if her old ways would return to haunt her. Just as Adaora was beginning to find her footing, a visitor arrived in the village, Chike. The moment she saw him step into the small shop, her breath caught in her throat. He looked the same, confident, well-dressed, and exuding the same aura of wealth and charm. "Adaora," he said coolly, studying her. "I never expected to find you here." She swallowed hard. "Chike, what are you doing here?" "Business," he replied, his eyes narrowing. "But I see you found a new life. Teaching children, living simply, quite the change." Adaora clenched her fists, determined not to let guilt consume her. "People change, Chike." "I have." Chike scoffed. "Really? Or is this just another game?" His words stung, but she refused to let them shake her. "Believe what you want, Chike. I can change the past, but I'm trying to be better." Chike shook his head, exhaling sharply. "I just wanted to see for myself. And now I have. Goodbye, Adaora." As he left, Adaora felt a strange mix of emotions, relief, regret, and a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, she had made the right choice after all. Months passed, and Adaora continued to rebuild her life. The whispers faded, replaced with nods of respect. She had become a vital part of the community, helping the children learn and even organizing small literacy programs for the women. One day, Ifeanyi found her outside the school, watching the children play. "You're smiling more these days," he observed. Adaora turned to him. "I finally feel free." He nodded. "That's good. But I wanted to ask you something. Will you stay? Not just in the village, but with me?" Her heart pounded. For so long, she had craved love in all the wrong places. Now, standing before a man who had seen her at her lowest and still believed in her, she felt something real. "Ifeanyi, yes," she said, her voice steady. "I want to stay." As he took her hands, Adaora realized that while she could never erase the past, she could shape her future. And this time, it would be one built on honesty, love, and self-respect. She had paid the price of deception. Now, she was ready to embrace the reward of truth. For more true life stories, with life lessons, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel.